Well, how about that? We use uncertainty as a term so often associated with this great game, and once again, it's come to bite us. Depending on which side you were on, which side of the fence you were on, it would either be disappointment or delight. At the halfway mark, going well, first 5 overs, scoring at 10 and over without a wicket down. It looked as if Bangalore were actually going to get us our prediction, actually going to talk about the fact that it was a 170 type pitch. Now, whether or not 138 means it's the kind of pitch they've had early on and it's par, only the next 20 overs will tell. But something tells me that may not quite be the case. The brilliance of Sunil Narine, 4 for 21 in his 4 overs, has meant that none of the batsmen even reached 40. Virat Kohli somehow got his way to 39, that too of 33 deliveries. To try and discuss the fortunes of Bangalore and the chase coming up, we are here on Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle. I'm Gautam Bhimani in the company of Michael Vaughan and Ajay Jadeja. Michael, I threw two possibilities out there. Is it the old Sharjah surface? When I say old, I mean start of this half of the season, or is it just that they were bamboozled by spin?
Or is it the old RCB that's just not arrived and put any kind of performance in? I think in about an hour and 45 minutes' time, we'll probably get an indication. I do think the pitch slowed up, and I think there's a bit of grab there for the spinners. But, you know, I keep going on about this batting lineup. KKR must be delighted. When you've got the likes of Maxwell and ABD that are not really coming in until the last 10 overs. I said last week, they must be preparing ABD for the T10 because that's all that he gets the chance to try and play in those last few overs. Brilliance from KKR. Barrett, I thought just kind of the momentum was with the challenges after the power play, and all of a sudden Barrett came out number 3, 9 off 16. The whole momentum of the innings just went. Virat couldn't get the strike, and then he lost his rhythm, he lost his mojo with the batting hand. And he always felt they were chasing it from there on in. I still feel because of the surface, it may be competitive, but, you know, I do think RCB should have got at least another 25, 30 runs on that surface, particularly after the start.
Yeah, a couple of little stats in there. One which actually amazed me, Ajay. We were referring to that wonderful partnership. We used to talk about Virat Kohli, AB de Villiers batting together, not as individuals. They would come to bat together, the opposition would shudder. Do you know they have not batted one ball together this entire UAE leg?
Well, I mean, not just sad for RCB, but for all the fans who just come to watch cricket. And it almost looks like that this season won't be an opportunity again for them to get together. I hope I'm wrong and we see them together. But yeah, I mean, why wouldn't you want that to happen? I mean, you saw what two spinners, when they get together, what happens? We've seen in the past when two seamers bowl together, it's always partnerships, and, you know, your partner at the other end, he helps you in many ways. It's not just mentally, but in many forms. It's how you're playing, what the opposition's thinking. So, I mean, it's sad that we didn't see them both together, not just in this game, but throughout the season.
Obviously, the star performer is always one we mentioned, but I think it's the entire unit. I mean, the fact that at the end of 5 overs, they were 49. There was a double-digit over in the fifth. There was no other double-digit over, Michael, till the last over of the innings, and that too thanks to some no balls and wides. A lot of credit to Lockie Ferguson as well, Varun Chakravarti, and Shakib Al Hasan. Before we talk about Narine.
Yeah, and no sixes hit, which is remarkable in T20 cricket. It may be an indication that the pitch is not quite what we think it is, but you still generally see a few sixes in T20 cricket, no matter what the surface. It looked to me like RCB played out the first 6, that they did well, and then almost they went back into their shell and thought, oh, we'll just knock it around for a few hours. And I think T20 cricket, when you get the start, you've got to keep going. You've got to keep looking for the boundaries. You know, you get that start, you only lose 1 wicket inside the first 6, and it just gives you a license of 14 overs to go, you know, and be aggressive and try and get that 180, 200. Whatever the surface, you've got to have that mindset of aggression. And, you know, I just think that partnership of Virat Kohli and Barrett, who came in at 3, was just a little bit safe. You know, they didn't try anything. And then all of a sudden they got to the stage where they had to try and hit boundaries every ball. And that's too predictable. When you're facing someone like Narine in particular, he'll just see you and he'll just be able to skillfully manoeuvre the ball in areas of the pitch, which makes it very difficult for you to hit the boundary. Yeah, it was a strange innings, but because it's the IPL, it'll no doubt go into the last ball. It'll be a dramatic game. Something will happen. It's pretty much what always happens in the IPL when you get to the eliminations, but they should have got a lot more than that.
Ajay, you referred to Akshar Patel with the Delhi game and how he as an individual sort of slowed things down. Did Bangalore do an Akshar Patel once again in that middle phase?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we saw, a brief innings from Akshar Patel, so you could see the intent. I mean, the numbers probably won't show it. It wasn't that he was trying or something. What you saw from Bharat today was probably a little different. I thought Bharat at least made an effort to, try and. So in the mindset, it looked like as if it was, send him in, let him go out and try just hitting sixes or try something different. So a little different the approach from, what we saw from Akshar yesterday. But I'm totally with Michael, I think, and we talked about this earlier as well. Why would you have somebody else go in when you have these guys waiting for you? And, you've got through that first phase. It's a knockout game. You want to knock this team out once. That's what knockout means. You don't have to play the 10 rounds. If you can knock them off, you're in that first round, you're way up. The guys, only defending, and you allow them to come back. I mean, and you got to keep going. And I think that's where they really lost their momentum. And at the end, then it's just gone.
But I think you have to talk about individuals, often about partnerships, often about a team game. But an individual really stood up today. Relatively quiet tournament for him thus far. He's been chipping in, not quite opening the batting. So he hasn't been explosive there. But 4 for 21. And it was not just that it was 4 wickets. There were big wickets in there. And there were good old bowlers' wickets. It was not balls skied in the air, caught millimeters away from the boundary, Michael.
No, brilliant. It's it's always great seeing stroke play. It's great seeing pace. But when you get someone like Narine bowling with a bit of mystery and also bamboozling quality, when you've got ABD and Virat and Glenn Maxwell in your pocket on the same day, well, you dine out on that for a while. That's your future with your kids and everything, just dining out on those 3 wickets. But, there was a little bit of grabbing the surface. You could see that it was just grabbing either way. And he's a wizard because, he hides the ball. He gives you very little indication with his action which way it's going to be spinning. He changes his pace. And when you think the amount of times that these players have played Narine, you would kind of feel that they should get better and better the more that you play him. But he's obviously got something very special and very hard to pick up off because even the great players that we saw today couldn't get hold of him. And it's a continual trend that he very rarely gets got. He very rarely does he have one of those days where he gets got by a batter. You don't often see him get whacked all over the place and he's scratching his head trying to work out what his next delivery is going to be. He's clearly a very, very difficult bowler to pick up.
How much, Ajay, will he have learnt from the 4 wickets? And would it be enough for Eoin Morgan to say, look, A, you picked up 4 wickets, so you're on a high. B, you've probably understood the surface well. Go out and open the batting. We've been crying out for it. I have a feeling he won't because he came for an interview at the end of the innings, which he generally doesn't do if he's going to pad up.
Yeah, I mean, when you're having a good day, you want to make the most of it. Yeah, that's 1. 2, it's a knockout game. So you want to get, now whatever can you get out of it? You're chasing 138. If you're 4 down, 5 down, when then walks in Sunil Narine, what is he going to give you there versus what he goes at the top? That's what you will be thinking. I would ideally would have said, let him go in, have some fun. But it all depends on the first 4 guys who've been batting for KKR. There's been a pattern in the way they've played. If those 4 understand that okay, look, it's just one of our numbers moving up, we'll do exactly what we're going to do. Let's get whatever we can get from Sunil Narine. If those 4 agreed in basically mental terms, then it's a great move to move because, you get 10, 20, 30, 40, everything is a plus. It's only 140 that you're looking at and it's a knockout game. So I would look at it that way. I mean, if I had my way, I probably would have sent him straight to open. But, because these 4 guys are all young guys, I don't know whether they'll understand the whole thing. That, it's not we're changing anything else. It's just a moment that we're trying to seize. And you could explain that to your side at some time. Look, what RCB did is didn't seize on that moment at 55 for no loss. They could have sent somebody there. We would have been in a different approach. Look, this is what we are trying to do. If you do it that way, then I think Sunil Narine is best used in this game as an opening batsman at this stage for me.
Right here, right now, Michael, a hat that you've worn very often in your life, the captain's hat. put it on right now for in Morgan's place? Do you send Sunil Narine to open?
Yeah, I would. I'd look at a small chase and try and knock as many off it in the power play. Where you've only got two fielders outside the circle, you've got someone in Narine who actually has done it quite consistently in the past. He's not of late, but yeah, why not? He's not going to generally offer you too much when you get down the back end because all the field's spread. He does hit the ball in the air. That's what he does. So why not give him that opportunity to hit it in the air when there's only two fielders allowed outside the 30-yard circles? They can get to 55, 60 quickly in that power play. You'd have to say that they've pretty much done most of the work to chase down this target. What RCB need is wickets. I'd be throwing the left-hander with a license to go and try and smash it.
The other thing, Ajay, that may work against Bangalore, and it's something they'll need to change up, is their average score that they concede in the power play this half of the season is not flattering for them. If you have a look at that, just the one wicket in the power play. They tend to take a cluster of wickets at the back end, but today they'll have to change their pattern. They will need wickets up front.
Oh, they'll certainly need more than that one that they've got throughout that season if they want to win this game. They'll need more than a couple, I think. They'll need a couple at least. How do you get them? You're going to have to think. When you look at RCB bowling attack, we talk of, Chahal as number one. Harshal's done exceptionally well at the end. He probably bowls 1 over in those first 6. So the main two guys don't. And the one that I actually really enjoy watching is Mohammad Siraj. If he gets that seam going, he's a bowler who could, give you something. But he never bowls more than an over as well. So, it's about, they look at the power play probably, okay, let's get out, not give 55, 60, 70, rather than looking at that power play and say, listen, we have no other choice. We've got to have those fielders in. Let's try and pick a couple of wickets. Maybe things will change. It'll become easier later. So it's that gamble, but because he doesn't have enough in his pocket, Virat, I think he doesn't use Chahal very often at that start because he's probably the bowler who actually only needs those two guys. He doesn't need guys square on the wicket. He doesn't bowl that pace. So if somebody's going to hit, you need those guys, maybe a mid-wicket, a long off or an extra cover. That's a chance. Then it's not a chance that you're hoping something will happen. Then it's a chance where you've thought of it and you're enticing the batsman to say, okay, listen, you can hit me for a 6, but you're not going to get 6 singles off me. So that's a chance that you sometimes want to take. But I doubt, matchup teams have a very strong way of working and they'll probably go about doing their business exactly how they've done in the last few games.
Well, in terms of the batting order business, Kolkata aren't changing it. It is Venkatesh Iyer. It is Shubman Gill. Whether or not Narayan's padded up for maybe a surprise number 3 as a floater, we don't know yet. As of now, as I said, my little intuition about knowing Narine, the person, he would never come for a post-match interview if he thinks he's going to be batting in 15 minutes' time. Quick one to finish with. We were miles off the prediction thanks to Bangalore's, Bangalore being Bangalore. So we've got to do it all over again, but this is just 6 overs. Are they going to come hard? Ajay, give us a number. Kolkata in the power play, just a prediction. We'd like them to be 70, but what's your prediction?
Well, I think there'll probably be 44, 40, 43, 44, 46. I just hope that they're not more than 2 down. They will get past that number.
Fair enough. 44. Confidently says Ajay Jadeja. Michael, are you going higher than that?
I'm going to go 51.
51, yeah. Well, that's certainly somewhere where they'd like to be. I'd like to be optimistic and say higher than that. I'll just go a little conservative, perhaps wickets in hand, but just a little less. 40 and even 40 for maybe no loss if they can keep it there and then build on that. But I suspect runs, maybe for the odd 1 wicket, is what they'll want. That's all we have in this mid-innings show. It's all to play for. This is the next 20 overs that will determine another team that says goodbye to this tournament. And we just have Delhi, Chennai, and one of these 2 left. That's all we have. We'll see you in Cricbuzz Combox in the 10th over. Thank you, Ajay. Thank you, Michael. Thank you all for tuning in. This is Cricbuzz Live in association with our fantasy partner, My 11 Circle.